वित्त मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी।
Sir, with your permission, I rise today on the table a copy each of the following papers, Hindi and English versions, under Article 281 of the Constitution, Report for 2026 to 2031, Volume 1, Main Report of the 16th Finance Commission. 2. Report for 2026-2031, Volume 2, Annexures of the 16th Finance Commission. Number 3. Explanatory memorandum as to the action taken on the recommendations contained in the above report.
आइटम नंबर 2, माननीय वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमन जी।
Honorable Speaker, sir, on the sacred occasion of Magh Purnima and the birth anniversary of Guru Ravidas, I present the budget for the year 2026-2027. Since we assumed office 12 years ago, India's economic trajectory has been marked by stability, fiscal discipline, sustained growth, and moderate inflation. This is the result of conscious choices we have made, even in times heightened uncertainty and disruption. Our government, led by Honorable Prime Minister Modi, has decisively and consistently chosen action over ambivalence, reform over rhetoric, and people over populism. We have pursued far-reaching structural reforms, fiscal prudence and monetary stability, whilst maintaining a strong thrust on public investment. Keeping Atmanirbharta as a lodestar, we have built domestic manufacturing capacity, energy security, and reduced critical import dependencies. Simultaneously, we have ensured that citizens benefit from every action of the government, undertaking reforms to support employment generation, agricultural productivity, household purchasing power, and universal services to people. These measures have delivered a high growth rate of around 7% and helped us make substantial strides in poverty reduction and improvement in the lives of our people. Today, we face an external environment in which trade and multilateralism are impaired and access to resources and supply chains are disrupted. New technologies are transforming production systems while sharply increasing demands on water, energy, and critical minerals. India will continue to take confident steps towards Viksit Bharat, balancing ambition with inclusion. As a growing economy with expanding trade and capital needs, India must also deeply integrate. India must also remain deeply integrated with global markets, exporting more and attracting stable long-term investment. As I begin Part A, I want to express my gratitude to the people for standing firmly with us as we forge our way together towards becoming one of the largest economies of the world. Our aim is to transform aspiration into achievement and potential into performance, as we ensure that the dividends of growth reach every farmer, the scheduled caste, the scheduled tribes, the nomads, the youth, the poor, and the women. In Viksit Bharat Young Leaders Dialogue 2026, several innovative ideas were shared with our Prime Minister which have inspired many of the proposals, making this a unique Yuva Shakti-driven budget. Our government's sankalp is to focus on our poor, underprivileged and the disadvantaged. To deliver on this sankalp, and given that this is the first budget prepared in Kartavya Bhavan, we are inspired by three Kartavya. Our first Kartavya is to accelerate and sustain economic growth by enhancing productivity and competitiveness and building resilience to volatile global dynamics. Our second Kartavya is to fulfill aspirations of our people and build their capacity, making them strong partners in India's path to prosperity. Our third Kartavya, aligned with our vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, is to ensure that every family, community, region and sector has access to resources, amenities and opportunities for meaningful participation. This threefold approach requires a supportive ecosystem. The first requirement is to sustain the momentum of structural reforms, continuous, adaptive and forward-looking. Second, a robust and resilient financial sector is central to mobilizing savings, allocating capital efficiently, and managing risks. Third, cutting-edge technologies, including AI applications, can serve us as force multipliers for better governance. Reform Express. Our government has undertaken comprehensive reforms towards creating employment, boosting productivity, and accelerating growth. After the Prime Minister's announcement on Independence Day in 2025, over 350 reforms have been rolled out. This includes GST simplification, notification of labor codes, and rationalization of mandatory quality control orders. High-level committees have been formed, and in parallel, the central government is working with the state governments on deregulation and reducing compliance requirements. The Reform Express is well on its way and will maintain its momentum to help us fulfill our Kartavya. I now move to specific proposals. Under our first Kartavya, to accelerate and sustain economic growth, I propose interventions in 6 areas. 1. Scaling up manufacturing in 7 strategic and frontier sectors. 2. Rejuvenating legacy industrial sectors. 3. Creating champion MSMEs. 4. Delivering a powerful push for infrastructure. 5. Ensuring long-term security and stability. And 6. Developing city economic regions. Scaling up of manufacturing in 7 strategic and frontier sectors. Biopharma Shakti, meaning biopharma strategy for health advancement through knowledge, technology and innovation. India's disease burden is observed to be shifting towards non-communicable diseases like diabetes, cancer and autoimmune disorders. Biologic medicines are key to longevity and quality of life at affordable costs. To develop India as a global biopharma manufacturing hub, I propose the Biopharma Shakti with an outlay of 10,000 crores over the next 5 years. This will build the ecosystem for domestic production of biologics and biosimilars. The strategy will include a biopharma focus network with 3 new national institutes of pharmaceutical education and research, popularly known as NIPERS, and upgrading 7 existing ones. It will also create a network of 1,000 accredited India clinical trials sites. We propose to strengthen the Central Drug Standard Control Organization to meet global standards and approve timeframes through approval timeframes through a dedicated scientific review cadre and specialists. India's Semiconductor Mission 1.0 expanded India's semiconductor sector capabilities. Building on this, we will launch ISM 2.0 to produce equipment and materials, design full-stack Indian IP, and fortify supply chains. We will also focus on industry-led research and training centers to develop technology and skilled workforce. The Electronics Components Manufacturing Scheme, launched in April 2025 with an outlay of 22,919 crores, already has investment commitments at double the targets. We propose to increase the outlay to 40,000 crores to capitalize on this momentum. A scheme for rare earth permanent magnets was launched in 2025 November. We now propose to support the mineral-rich states of Odisha, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu to establish dedicated rare earth corridors to promote mining, processing, research and manufacturing. To enhance domestic chemical production and reduction in import dependency and reduce import dependency, we will launch a scheme to support states in establishing 3 dedicated chemical parks through challenge route on a cluster-based plug-and-play model. Strong capital goods. Strong capital goods capability is a determinant of productivity and quality across different sectors. Towards building this capacity, I propose the following. High-tech tool rooms will be established by central public sector enterprises at 2 locations as digitally enabled automated service bureaus that locally design, test and manufacture high-precision components at scale and at lower cost. 2. A scheme for enhancement of construction and infrastructure equipments will be introduced to strengthen domestic manufacturing of high value and technologically advanced CIE. This can range from lifts in a multi-storied apartment or firefighting equipment in multiplexes, large or small, and to tunnel boring equipments for building metros and high-altitude roads. I also propose a scheme for container manufacturing to create a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem with a budgetary allocation of 10,000 crores over a 5-year period. For the labor-intensive textile sector, I propose an integrated program with 5 subparts. 1. The National Fiber Scheme for Self-Reliance in Natural Fibers, such as silk, wool and jute, man-made fibers and new-age fibers. Textile expansion and employment scheme to modernize traditional clusters with capital support for machinery, technology upgradation and common testing and certification centers. 3. The National Handloom and Handicraft Program to integrate and strengthen existing schemes and ensure targeted support for weavers and artisans. Tex Eco Initiative to promote globally competitive and sustainable textiles and apparels. Samarth 2.0 to modernize the upgrade and upgrade the textile skilling ecosystem through collaboration with industry and academic institutions. Further, I propose to set up a mega textile parks in challenge mode. They can also focus on bringing value addition to technical textiles. I propose to launch the Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj initiative to strengthen khadi, handloom and handicrafts. This will help in global market linkage and branding. It will streamline and support training, skilling, quality of process and production. This will benefit our weavers, village industries, one district, one product ODOP initiative, and also our rural youths. India has the potential to emerge as a global hub for high quality, affordable sports goods. I propose a dedicated initiative for sports goods that will promote manufacturing, research and innovation in equipment design as well as material sciences. Rejuvenation of legacy industrial clusters. I propose to introduce a scheme to revive 200 legacy industrial clusters to improve their cost competitiveness and efficiency through infrastructure and technology upgradation. Creating champion SMEs and supporting micro enterprises. Recognizing MSMEs as a vital engine of growth, I propose a three-pronged approach to help them grow as champions. Equity support. I propose to introduce a dedicated 10,000 crores SME growth fund to create future champions, incentivizing enterprises based on select criteria. I also propose to top up the Self-Reliant India Fund, set up in 2021, with 2,000 crores to continue support to micro enterprises and maintain their access to risk capital. Liquidity support. With TREADS, more than 7 lakh crore has been made available to MSMEs. To leverage its full potential, I propose 4 measures. 1. Mandate TREADS as the transaction settlement platform for all purchases from MSMEs by CPSEs, serving as a benchmark for other corporates. 2. Introduce a credit guarantee support mechanism through CGTMSE for invoice discounting on TREADS platform. 3. Link GEM with TREADS for sharing information with financiers about government purchases from MSMEs, encouraging cheaper and quicker financing. 4. Introduce TREADS receivables as asset-backed securities, helping develop a secondary market, enhancing liquidity and settlement of transactions. Professional support. Government will facilitate professional institutions such as the ICAI, ICSI, ICMAI to design short-term modular courses and practical tools to develop a cadre of corporate mitras, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 towns. These accredited para-professionals will help MSMEs meet compliance requirements at affordable costs. Infrastructure. During this past decade, our government has undertaken several initiatives for large-scale enhancement of public infrastructure, including through new financing instruments such as Infrastructure Investment Trust in WITS and Real Estate Investment Trust REITs, and institutions like NIIF and NABFID. We shall continue to focus on developing infrastructure, in cities with over 5 lakh population, that is tier 2, tier 3 cities, which have expanded to become growth centers. Public capital expenditure has increased manifold from 2 lakh crore in 2014-15 to an allocation of 11.2 lakh crore in BE 25-26. In this coming year, that is financial year 2026-27, I propose to increase it to 12.2 lakh crores to continue the momentum. To strengthen the confidence of private developers regarding risks during infrastructure development and construction phase, I propose to set up an infrastructure risk guarantee fund to provide prudentially calibrated partial credit guarantee to lenders. Over the years, rights have emerged as a successful instrument for asset monetization. I propose to accelerate recycling of significant real estate assets of the CPSEs through the setting up of dedicated rights. To promote environmentally sustainable movement of cargo, I propose to 1. Establish new dedicated freight corridors connecting Dankuni in the east to Surat in the west. Operationalize 20 new national waterways over the next 5 years. Starting with National Waterways 5 in Orissa to connect mineral-rich areas of Talcher and Angul and industrial centers like Kalinganagar to the ports of Paradip and Dhamra. Training institutes will be set up as regional centers of excellence for development of required manpower for these waterways. This will benefit youth in the entire stretch of the waterways to train and acquire skills. Further, a ship repair ecosystem catering to inland waterways will also be set up at Varanasi and Patna. And C. Launch a coastal cargo promotion scheme for incentivizing a modal shift from rail to road to increase the share of inland waterways and coastal shipping from 6% to 12% by 2047. To enhance last mile and remote connectivity and promote tourism, I propose to give incentives to indigenize manufacturing of seaplanes. A seaplane VGF scheme will be also introduced to provide support for operations. Carbon capture, utilization and storage. Aligning with the roadmap launched in December 2025, the carbon capture, utilization and storage technologies at scale will achieve higher readiness and in end-use application across 5 industrial sectors, including power, steel, cement, refineries, and chemicals. An outlay of 20,000 crore is proposed over the next 5 years for this purpose. City economic regions. Cities are India's engines of growth, innovation, and opportunities. We shall now focus on Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, and even temple towns, which need modern infrastructure and basic amenities. This budget aims to further amplify the potential of cities to deliver the economic power of agglomerations by mapping city economic regions based on their specific growth drivers. An allocation of 5,000 crore per CER over 5 years is proposed for implementing their plans through a challenge mode with a reform-cum-result-based financing mechanism. In order to promote environmentally sustainable passenger systems, we will develop 7 high-speed rail corridors between cities as growth connectors, namely Mumbai to Pune, Pune to Hyderabad, Hyderabad to Bengaluru, Hyderabad to Chennai, Chennai to Bengaluru, Delhi to Varanasi, Varanasi to Siliguri. Financial sector. The Indian banking sector today is characterized by strong balance sheet, historic highs in profitability, improved asset quality, and coverage exceeding 98% of villages in the country. At this juncture, we are well placed to futuristically evaluate the measures needed to continue on the path of reform-led growth of this sector. I propose setting up a high-level committee on banking for Viksit Bharat. High-level committee on banking for Viksit Bharat to comprehensively review the sector and align it with India's next phase of growth, while safeguarding financial stability, inclusion, and consumer protection. The vision for NBFCs for Viksit Bharat has been outlined with clear targets for credit disbursement and technology adoption in order to achieve scale and improve efficiency in the public sector NBFCs. As a first step, it is proposed to restructure the Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation. I propose a comprehensive review of the foreign exchange management non-debt instruments rules to create a more contemporary, user-friendly framework for foreign investments consistent with India's evolving non-debt instruments rules to create a more contemporary, user-friendly framework for foreign economic bond indices. I also propose to introduce total return swaps on corporate bonds. I propose to introduce municipal making framework to encourage the issuance of municipal bonds and derivatives of higher value by larger cities. I propose an incentive to introduce total 100 crore rupees on corporate for a single bond issuance, municipal bonds, to encourage the issuance of 100 crore rupees for a single bond issuance of more than 1,000 crore. 100 the current scheme under Amrit for a single bond issuance. The current scheme under Amrit, for which incentivizes issuances up to 200 crores only, will also continue to support smaller and medium towns. That will also continue to support the smaller and medium towns. Under Amrit, ease of doing business incentivizes individual persons resident outside India. PROI will be permitted to invest in equity instruments of listed Indian companies through the portfolio investment scheme. Ease of doing business. It is also proposed to increase the investment limit for an individual will be permitted to invest in equity instruments under the scheme from 5% to 10% with an overall investment limit for all individual PROIs to 24% from the current 10%. Under the scheme from emerging technologies including AI with an overall investment 21st century is technology driven. Adoption of technology is for the benefit of all people. Farmers in the field, women in STEM, youth keen to upskill AI, and Divyangjan to access newer opportunities. The government has taken several steps for the benefit to support new technologies through AI mission, National Quantum Mission, Youth Anusandhan, National Research Fund, to
and
access
research and
newer
development
opportunities.
and innovation
The
fund.
government has taken several steps
Our second
to support
kartavya
new
is
technologies
to fulfill
through
aspirations
AI mission,
and build
National
capacities.
Quantum Mission,
Close to
Anusandhan,
25 crore
National
individuals
Research Fund,
have come out of
and
multi-dimensional
research and
poverty
and
through a
innovation
decade
of our government's sustained and
Our second
reform-oriented efforts is to fulfill aspirations and build capacities. Close to 25 crore individuals have come out
Our
of
government
multi-dimensional
has
poverty
therefore decided to
through
place
a decade of our government's
a renewed
sustained and
emphasis
reform-oriented
on the
efforts
service sector
to provide a pathway to fulfilling aspirations of a youthful India with the following measures.
Our government has
I
therefore
propose
decided
to set up
place
a high-powered
renewed
education to
emphasis
employment
on
and
the service
enterprises
sector
standing
provide a
committee
pathway to
to
fulfilling
recommend
aspirations
measures that
of a
focus
youthful
on
India
services sector
with the following
as
measures.
a core driver of Viksit Bharat. I propose to set up a high-powered education to employment
This will
and
make us
enterprises
a global leader in
standing
services with
to
a
recommend
10%
measures
global share by
that focus on
2047.
services sector as a
The
core
committee
driver of
will
Viksit
prioritize
Bharat. Areas to optimize the potential for growth, employment
This will make
and
us
exports.
a global
They
leader
will
in
also
services
assess the impact
with a
of
10%
emerging
global share
technologies,
by 2047.
including AI, on jobs and skill
committee will
requirements and
prioritize
propose
areas
measures
to optimize
thereof.
the
potential for growth, to create a
employment
range
and exports
of skilled,
They will also assess the
career
impact of
pathways,
emerging
a new
technologies,
range of skilled career
including
pathways
AI,
for our
on
youth.
jobs
I
and skill
propose
requirements
interventions
and
in the
propose
following sectors:
measures thereof.
health. Existing
To create a
institutions
range
for allied health
skilled
professionals will be
career
upgraded
pathways,
and
a new
new
range of
AHP
skilled
institutions
career pathways
established
for
in
our
private
youth.
and government
I
sectors.
propose interventions
This
in
will
the
cover
following sectors:
10 selected disciplines,
Existing
including
institutions
optometry,
for allied
radiology,
health professionals
anesthesia,
will be
OT technology,
upgraded,
and new
applied
AHP
psychology
institutions
and
established
behavioral
in
health
private and government
and
sectors.
add this will
1
cover
lakh
10
AHPs
selected
over the next 5 years,
including
optometry, radiology,
a strong
anesthesia,
care
OT
system
technology,
covering geriatric and allied
psychology
care
and
services will be
behavioral
built.
and
A variety of
1
NSQF
lakh
aligned programs
AHPs
will be
over the
developed
next 5
to
years.
train multi-skilled caregivers, combining
care
core care
system
and allied
covering
skills
geriatric
such
and
as
allied
wellness,
care
yoga,
services
and
will be
operation
built.
of medical
A variety
assistive
of
devices.
NSQF aligned
In the coming
programs
year,
will be developed
1.5
to train
lakh
multi-skilled
caregivers will be
caregivers,
trained.
combining core care and allied skills such as wellness,
Hubs
yoga,
for
and
medical
operation of
value
medical
tourism.
assistive devices.
To promote India
In
as
the
a hub
coming
for
year,
medical tourism
1.5
services,
lakh
I propose to
caregivers
launch
will be
a scheme to support Statesman establishing 5 regional medical hubs
for medical
in
value
partnership
tourism.
with the private sector.
To promote India as a
These
hub for
hubs
medical
will
tourism
serve as
services,
integrated
I
healthcare
propose to launch
complexes
a scheme
that
to
combine
support
medical,
Statesman
educational
establishing
and research
5
facilities.
regional medical
They will have
hubs.
Ayush centers, medical
partnership
value
with the
tourism
private
facilitation centers, and
These
infrastructure
hubs
for
will serve
diagnostics,
as integrated
post-care,
healthcare
and
complexes
rehabilitation.
that combine
These
medical,
hubs will
educational,
provide
and
diverse
research
opportunities,
facilities.
job opportunities
They will have
for
Ayush
health
centers,
professionals,
medical value
including
value
doctors
tourism
and
facilitation
AHPs.
centers, and infrastructure for diagnostics, post-care,
Ancient
and
Indian
rehabilitation.
yoga,
These
already
hubs
respected
will
in
provide
several
diverse
parts of the world,
opportunities, job
was given a
opportunities
mass
for
global
health
recognition
professionals,
when
including
Honorable Prime
doctors
Minister
and
took it to the
AHPs.
UN. Post-COVID, Ayurveda gained a similar global acceptance
already
and
respected in
recognition.
several parts of the world.
Exporting quality
was given a
Ayurveda
mass
products
global recognition
helps farmers
when
who grow
Honorable
the
Prime
herbs
Minister took it
and
to the
youth who
UN.
process the products.
Post-COVID,
To meet growing global demand,
Ayurveda
a
gained
few more
similar
steps are being
global
taken.
acceptance
I
and
propose to
recognition.
1.
Exporting
Set up
quality
3
Ayurveda
new
products
All India
helps
institutes
farmers
of
who grow the
Ayurveda.
herbs and youth who process the products.
2. To meet
Upgrade
growing
Ayush
global
pharmacies.
demand,
A
and
few more
drug
steps are
testing
being taken.
labs for higher
propose to,
standards
1,
of certification
set up 3
ecosystem
new
and
All
make
India
available
institutes
more
of
skilled
Ayurveda.
personnel. 3.
Upgrade the WHO Global Traditional Medicine Center in Jamnagar to bolster evidence-based research, training, certification, and awareness for traditional medicine. More skilled personnel. 3. Upgrade the WHO
Animal
Global
husbandry.
Traditional Medicine Center
Livestock
in Jamnagar
contributes to
close to 16% of farm income, including of poor and marginal households. To scale up availability of veterinary professionals by more than 20,000, I propose to roll out a loan-linked capital subsidy support scheme for establishment of veterinary and para-veterinary colleges, to scale up veterinary hospitals, veterinary diagnostic laboratories, and breeding facilities in private sector. Collaboration between Indian and foreign institutions will also be facilitated. Para-veterinary colleges, orange economy. India's animation, visual effects, gaming and comic sector, ABGC sector, is a growing industry projected to require 2 million professionals by 2030. Orange economy. India's animation, support visual effects, gaming and comic sector. The Indian Institute of Creative Technologies Mumbai in setting up ABGC content creator labs by 2030 in 15,000 secondary schools all over the country and 500 colleges. To support the Indian Institute of Creative Technologies Mumbai. The Indian design industry is expanding rapidly, and yet there is a shortage of Indian designers. Secondary schools I propose to establish through Challenge Route a new National Institute of Design to boost design education and development in the eastern region of India. Indian designers. I propose to establish education through Challenge Route. Our government will support States Institute of Design through Challenge Route to boost in creating 5 university townships in the vicinity of major industrial and logistics corridors. Education. These planned academic zones will host multiple universities, colleges and research institutions, skill centers and residential complexes. In higher education, STEM institutions, prolonged academic zones and will host multiple universities, colleges and research institutions, skill centers and residential complexes. In higher education, STEM institutions and laboratory work pose some challenges for girl students. Through VGF, Viability Gap Funding and Capital, or through VGF, support, Viability Gap Funding and girls' hostel will be established in every district. Girls' hostel will be established in every district. To promote astrophysics and astronomy via immersive experiences. 4 telescope infrastructure facilities will be set up or upgraded. The National Large Solar Telescope will be set up or the National Large Optical Infrared Telescope, the Himalayan Chandra Telescope and the Cosmos 2 Planetarium. The Himalayan Chandra Telescope. Tourism. The tourism sector has the potential to play a large role in the employment generation, forex earnings, and expanding the local economy. I propose to set up a National Institute of Hospitality by upgrading the existing National Council for Hotel Management and Catering Technology. It will function as a bridge between academia, industry, and government. I also propose a pilot scheme for upskilling 10,000 guides in 20 iconic tourist sites through a standardized, high-quality 12-week training course in hybrid mode in collaboration with a training course with the Indian Institute of Management. A national destination digital knowledge grid will be established to digitally document all places of significance.
to digitally
cultural,
document
spiritual,
all places
and
of
heritage.
significance.
This initiative, cultural, will create
Spiritual and heritage.
a new
This initiative will
ecosystem
create
of jobs for local
a new
researchers, historians, content creators,
ecosystem of jobs
and technology
for local
partners.
researchers, historians,
India
content
has the
creators,
potential
and
and
technology
opportunity to
partners.
offer world-class
India has the
trekking
potential
and hiking
opportunity to
experience.
offer world-class trekking
We
and
will
hiking
develop
experience.
ecologically sustainable mountain
We will
trails
develop
in Himachal
ecologically
Pradesh,
sustainable
Uttarakhand,
mountain
and
trails
Jammu Kashmir.
in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand,
Also
and Jammu
in
Kashmir.
Araku Valley in the Eastern Ghats and Podigai
Also
Malay
in
the
Araku
Western
Valley
Ghats.
in the Eastern Ghats and Podigai Malay in the Western
Turtle
Ghats.
trails along key nesting sites in the coastal
Turtle
areas of
trails
Odisha,
along key
Karnataka and
nesting
Kerala.
sites in the
And
coastal areas
3
of Odisha,
bird watching trails
Karnataka and
along the
Big
Pulicat
Cat
Lake in
Alliance in
Andhra Pradesh,
2024.
Tamil Nadu. It's on the
This
border.
year, India is hosting the
Under
first ever
the
global
visionary
Big Cat
leadership of
Summit,
Honorable Prime Minister,
where
we
heads and
established
heads
the
of
International
governments
Big
and
Cat
ministers
Alliance
from
in 2024.
95 range countries will
This year,
deliberate on collective
India is hosting
strategies
the
for
first ever
conservation.
global Big Cat Summit,
Heritage and
where
culture
heads of
I propose
governments
to develop
and
15
ministers
archaeological
from
sites,
95
including
range
Lothal,
countries will
Dholavira,
deliberate on
Rakhi
collective
Gadi,
strategies for
Adichanallu,
conservation.
Sarnath, Hastinapur,
Heritage and culture
Leh
tourism.
Palace
I
into
propose to develop
vibrant
15
experiential
archaeological
cultural
sites,
destinations,
including Lothal,
Excavated-
Dholavira, Rakhi Gadi,
excavated landscapes
Adichanallu,
will be open to the
Sarnath,
public through
Hastinapur,
curated
and Leh
walkways.
Palace into
Immersive
vibrant
storytelling
experiential
skills
cultural
and
destinations.
technologies will be introduced
Excavated
to help conservation
Excavated
labs,
landscapes
interpretation
will be
centers,
open
and
to the
guides.
public through curated
The
walkways.
sports sector
Immersive
provides
storytelling
multiple
skills
means of employment,
and
skilling, and
technologies
job
will be
opportunities.
introduced to help
Taking
conservation
forward the
labs,
systematic nurturing
interpretation
of sports talent,
centers,
which is
and
set in
guides.
motion through the Khelo India program.
The sports
earlier.
sector
I
provides
propose to
multiple
launch
means
a
of
Khelo
employment,
India
skilling, and
mission
job
to
opportunities.
transform the sports
Taking
sector
forward the
over
systematic
next
nurturing of
decade.
sports talent, which is set in motion
The
through the
mission
Khelo
will
India
facilitate
program earlier. I
integrated
propose
talent
to launch
development
a
pathways
Khelo
supporting-
India mission
supported by
to
training centers,
transform the
which are
sports
foundational,
sector
intermediate,
over the
and
next
elite
decade.
decade.
B.
Systematic
The
development
mission
of
will
coaches
facilitate
and support staff.
A. An
C.
integrated talent
Integration of
development
sports
pathways
science and technology.
supported
D.
by training centers,
Competitions
which are
and leagues
foundational,
to promote
intermediate,
sports
and
culture
elite
and
levels.
provide
B.
platforms.
Systematic
And E.
development of
Development
coaches
of
and
sports
support staff.
infrastructure for
C.
training and
Integration
competition.
of sports science and technology. D.
Our third
Competitions and
Kartavya
leagues
aligns with
to
our
promote
vision of
sports
Sabka
culture
Saath,
and
Sabka Vikas
provide
towards
platforms.
Viksit Bharat.
And E.
This requires
Development of
targeted
sports
efforts
infrastructure
one,
for training
increasing
and competition.
farmer incomes through productivity enhancement
Our
and
third
entrepreneurship,
Kartavya aligns
special
with our
attention
vision of Sabka
to small
Saath, Sabka
and
Vikas
marginal
towards Viksit
farmers.
Bharat.
B.
This requires
Empowering
targeted
Divyang
efforts
Jans through
for
access to
one,
livelihood
increasing farmer
opportunities,
incomes
training,
through
and
productivity
high-quality
enhancement and
assistive
entrepreneurship,
devices.
with special
C.
attention
Empowering the
to small
vulnerable
and
to access
marginal
mental
farmers.
health and
B.
trauma care.
Empowering Divyang
D.
Jan through access
Focus
to
on the
livelihood
Purvodaya
opportunities,
states
training,
and the Northeast
and high
region
quality
to
assistive
accelerate development
devices.
and employment
C.
opportunities.
Empowering the vulnerable to access
Fisheries.
mental health and
We will
trauma
undertake
care.
initiatives for
D.
integrated
Focus on the Purvodaya states and the Northeast
Amrit
region
Sarovars.
to accelerate development and
Strengthen
employment
the fisheries value
opportunities.
chain in coastal areas
Fisheries.
and enable market
We will undertake
linkages
initiatives
involving
for integrated
startups and women-led
development of
groups
500
together with
reservoirs
fish farmer
and Amrit
producer
Sarovars.
organizations.
2.
Strengthen
Animal
the
husbandry.
fisheries value chain in
To
coastal
provide quality
areas
employment
and enable
opportunities
market
and
rural and
linkages
peri-urban
involving
areas.
startups
We
and
will support the
women-led
animal
groups
husbandry
together with
sector
fish
in
farmer
entrepreneurship
producer
development
organizations.
through A.
Animal
a
husbandry.
credit-linked subsidy program.
To provide
B.
quality employment
Scaling up and
opportunities in
modernization
rural
of
and
livestock
peri-urban areas,
enterprises.
we will
C.
support the animal
Enhanced
husbandry
creation of
sector
livestock,
in
dairy,
entrepreneurship
and poultry,
development through A. A credit-linked subsidy program,
Encourage
scaling up and modernization
Sorry,
of
read that
livestock
again. Enhance
enterprises.
creation of livestock,
C.
dairy
Enhance
and
creation of
poultry-focused
livestock,
integrated
dairy
value chains,
and poultry.
and D. Encourage creation of livestock farmer producer
Organizations.
Encourage high value
Sorry, read that
agriculture.
again. Enhance creation of livestock, dairy and poultry focused integrated value chains. And D. Encourage creation of livestock farmer producer organizations. High value
To
agriculture.
diversify farm outputs.
To
Increase
diversify
productivity,
farm outputs,
enhance farmers'
increase
incomes,
productivity,
and create new
enhance
employment
farmers'
opportunities,
incomes, and
we
create
will
new
support
employment opportunities.
high-value crops
We will
such as
support
coconut,
high-value
sandalwood,
crops such as
cocoa,
coconut,
cashew,
sandalwood,
in the
cocoa,
coastal
cashew,
areas,
in the
other
coastal
trees,
areas,
in
other
northeast,
trees,
and nuts
in
such as
northeast,
almonds,
and nuts such as almonds, walnuts,
in our hilly
and
regions.
pine nuts in our
These
hilly
all of them
regions.
will be supported.
These all of them
India
will be
is the world's
supported.
largest producer
India
of
is the
coconuts.
world's largest
About
producer of
30
coconuts.
million people,
About 30
including
million
nearly
people,
10 million
including
farmers,
nearly 10
depend
million
on
farmers,
coconuts for their
depend
livelihood.
on coconuts for
To
their
further enhance
livelihood.
competitiveness
To
in
further enhance
coconut production,
competitiveness in
I propose a
coconut production,
coconut promotion
I
scheme
propose a coconut
to increase
promotion
production
scheme
and
to
enhance
increase
productivity
production and enhance
through various
productivity
interventions,
through various
including
interventions, replacing and non-productive
new
trees
saplings or
with
plants
new
or
saplings or plants
in
or
major
varieties
coconut growing
in
states.
major coconut growing states.
A dedicated program
is proposed for Indian cashew and cocoa to make India self-reliant in raw cashew and coconut production and processing, enhance export competitiveness, and transform Indian cashew and Indian cocoa into premium global brands by 2030.
Sandalwood is closely linked to India's social and cultural heritage.
Our government will partner with state governments to promote focused cultivation and post-harvest processing to restore the glory of the Indian sandalwood ecosystem, to rejuvenate
low-yielding orchards,
and expand high-density cultivation of walnuts, almonds, and pine nuts. We will support a dedicated program to enhance farmer incomes and in bringing value addition by engaging youth.
Bharat Vistat, virtually integrated system to access
agricultural resources. I propose to launch Bharat Vistat, a multilingual AI tool that shall integrate the AgriStack portals and the ICAR package on agricultural practices with AI systems. This will enhance farm productivity, enable better decisions for farmers, and reduce risk by providing customized advisory support.
for rural women-led enterprises.
Building on the success of Lakpati
I
Didi
propose to
program,
help women
I propose to help women take the next step from credit-linked livelihoods to being owners of enterprises. Self-help entrepreneur.
Marts will be set up
as community-owned retail outlets within the cluster-level federations through enhanced and innovative financing instruments.
Empowering
Empowering Divyangjan Kaushal
Information
Yojana.
technology,
Information technology, AVGC sectors,
hospitality and
food and beverages sectors often offer task-oriented roles and which are suitable for Divyangjan. We will ensure dignified livelihood opportunities through industry-relevant and customized training specific to each Divyangjan group.
Divyang Sahara Yojana.
Timely access to
high-quality
assistive devices for all eligible Divyangjan is a fundamental need I propose
support the artificial
limbs manufacturing corporation of India,
to set up
Alimco,
and to scale up
to set up
production
and to
of
scale up
assisted-
production
assistive
of
devices,
assisted
invest in R&D
devices,
and AI
invest in R&D
integration,
and
strengthen
AI
PM
integration, strengthen PM Divyasha Kendras, and support setting up of assistive technology marts as modern retail style centers where Divyangjan and senior citizens can see, try and purchase assistive products.
reaffirming our commitment to mental health and trauma. There
Trauma
are no
care.
national institutes
There
for
are
mental
no
health
national
care
institutes
in
for
North
mental
India.
health care
We will
in North
therefore
India.
set up a
We will
NIMHANS
therefore
2
set up a
and
NIMHANS
also
2
upgrade
and
national
also
mental
upgrade
health institutes
national mental health
in Ranchi
institutes
and in
in
Tezpur
Ranchi
as
and in
regional
Tezpur
apex
as regional
institutions.
apex institutions.
Emergencies,
Emergencies expose families, particularly the poor and vulnerable, to unexpected expenditure. We will strengthen
these
and
capacities
increase
by 50%
these capacities by 50% in district hospitals by establishing emergency and trauma care centers.
Focus on
Purvodaya states and northeastern regions.
I propose the development of an integrated East Coast
industrial corridor with a well-connected node at Durgapur, creation of 5 tourism destinations in 5 Purvodaya states and the provision of 4,000 e-buses.
Buddhist sites in northeastern
region
is a
the northeastern region is a civilizational
Theravada
confluence
and Mahayana
of Theravada
or Vajrayana
and
traditions.
Mahayana or Vajrayana traditions.
To launch a scheme
I
for
propose
development
to
of
launch a
Buddhist
scheme
circuits
for development
in
of Buddhist
Arunachal
circuits
Pradesh,
in
Sikkim,
Arunachal Pradesh,
Assam,
Sikkim,
Manipur,
Assam,
Mizoram, and
Manipur,
Tripura.
Mizoram and
The
Tripura.
scheme will cover preservation
The
of
scheme will
temples
cover
and
preservation of
monasteries,
temples and
pilgrimage
monasteries,
interpretation centers,
pilgrimage interpretation centers, connectivity and program pilgrim amenities.
16th Finance Commission.
16th Finance
On
Commission.
17th November
On
2025,
17th November
the 16th
2025,
Finance Commission
the
submitted
16th
its report
Finance
to the
Commission
President.
submitted its report
As
to the
mandated
President.
under Article
As
281
mandated
of the
under Article
Constitution,
281
the
of the
government is to
Constitution,
lay the
the government is to lay the report along with the explanatory
on the action
memorandum
taken
on
report
the action
on the recommendations
taken
of the
report
Commission
on the
in
recommendations of the
Which,
Commission
sir,
in
Honourable
Parliament.
Speaker, you've
Which,
allowed
sir,
me to do
Honourable
with the
Speaker,
commencement
you've
of the
allowed
session.
me to do with the
The government
commencement of
has
the session.
accepted the
The government
recommendation
has accepted the recommendation
to retain
of
the
the Commission
vertical share
to
of
retain the
devolution at
vertical share of
41%.
devolution at 41%.
As recommended by the Commission.
As recommended by the Commission, I have provided
1.4 lakh crores
1.4
of
lakh
rupees to the
crores
states for the
of
year
rupees to the
2026,
states for the year
2027 as
2026-2027
Finance Commission grants.
as Finance
These
Commission
include
grants. These include
urban local body
rural and
disaster
urban local body
management grants.
and disaster management grants.
Fiscal consolidation.
Fiscal
Government
consolidation.
has been delivering on our
Government
fiscal
has been
commitments
delivering on our fiscal
consistently
commitments
consistently without
compromising on social needs.
towards accepted
To strive
standards
towards
of fiscal
accepted
management
standards of fiscal
25-26.
management in budget
I had
25-26.
that the
I had
central government
indicated
would target
that the
reaching a
central government would
debt-to-GDP
target
ratio
reaching a debt to
of
GDP
50
ratio
plus or minus
of
1%
50 plus or minus 1% by 2030-31.
The
In line with
debt-to-GDP
this,
ratio is
the debt to
estimated to be
GDP ratio is estimated to be
55.6%
of GDP in BE 26-27 compared to 56.1% of GDP in RE 25-26.
A declining debt to GDP
A declining debt to GDP ratio will gradually free up resources for priority sector lending and expenditure by reducing the outgo on
One of the
interest
main
payments.
operational instruments
One of the
for
main
debt targeting
operational instruments
is the
for debt
fiscal
targeting
deficit.
is the
I'm happy to
fiscal
inform
deficit.
this August
I'm
House
happy to inform
that
this
I
August
fulfilled
House
my commitment
that I
made
fulfilled
in
my commitment made in 2021, 2022 to reduce fiscal deficit below 4.5% of GDP by 25-26.
In RE 25-26,
In RE 25-26, the fiscal deficit has been estimated at par with BE of 25-26,
at
2025-26
of
at
GDP.
4.4% of GDP.
In line with the
new fiscal
of
prudence
debt
path
consolidation
of debt
fiscal
consolidation
deficit in BE
the fiscal
26,
deficit in
27
BE 26
is estimated to
27
be
is
4.3%
estimated
of
to
the
be
GDP.
4.3% of the GDP.
The revised estimates
The revised estimates
of the non-debt receipts are
of the non-debt receipts are 34 lakh crore rupees, of which the centre's net
receipts are
net tax receipts are 26.7 lakh crore.
of the total
The revised
expenditure
estimate of the total expenditure is 49.6 lakh crore rupees, of which the capital expenditure is about 11 lakh crores.
Budget estimates
Budget estimates
to 2026
2026 to
coming to
2027.
26,
Coming to
26,
27,
and
the non-debt receipts and the total expenditure are estimated as 36.5 lakh crore and 53.5 lakh crore respectively. The centre's net tax receipts are estimated at 28.7 lakh crore rupees. To finance the fiscal deficit, the net market borrowings from dated securities are estimated at 11.7 lakh crore rupees. The balance financing is expected to come from small savings and other sources. The gross market borrowings are estimated at 17.2 lakh crore rupees.
I'll now move to Part B.
I'll now move to Part B.
Part B.
Part B.
Direct taxes.
Direct taxes.
Honorable Speaker, sir,
Honorable Speaker,
I
sir,
now present my proposals
New
on
Income
direct
Tax
taxes.
Act. New Income Tax Act.
In July 2024,
In July
I announced a
2024,
comprehensive review of
I
the Income
announced a
Tax Act,
comprehensive review of the Income
1961.
Tax Act
This was completed
1961.
in a record time.
This was
and the
completed
Income
in a
Tax
record
Act
time,
2025
and the Income Tax
will
Act
come into effect
2025
from 1st April
will come into effect from
2026.
1st April 2026.
The simplified income tax rules
The simplified income tax rules and
forms
forms will be notified
giving
shortly,
adequate time to taxpayers
giving
to
adequate
acquaint
time to
themselves
taxpayers
with
to
its
acquaint
requirements.
themselves with its
The forms
requirements.
have been redesigned such
The forms have been
ordinary
redesigned
citizens
such that
can
ordinary
comply
citizens
without difficulty.
can comply without
Ease of living.
difficulty.
I
Ease
propose
of
that
living.
any interest
I
awarded
propose
by
that
the
any
Motor
interest
Accident
awarded by
Claims
the
Tribunal
Motor Accident
to a
Claims
natural
Tribunal
person
to a
will be
natural
exempt
person
from income tax.
will be exempt
And
from
any
income
TDS
tax,
on this
and
account
any
will be
TDS on
done
this
away with.
account will be done away with.
I propose to reduce TCS
I propose to
rate
reduce
on the sale
TCS
of
rate
overseas tour
on the
program
sale of
package
overseas tour
from the
program
current
package
5%
from the
and
current 5% and
20%
20%
without any stipulation of amount.
without any stipulation of amount.
I propose to reduce TCS
I
rate
propose to reduce
for pursuing
TCS rate
education and
for
medical
pursuing
purposes
education and
under
for
the
medical purposes
liberalized remittance
under the
scheme,
liberalized
popularly known
remittance
as
scheme,
LRS,
popularly known
from
as
5%
LRS,
to 2%.
from 5% to 2%.
Supply of manpower services is
Supply of
proposed to be
manpower
specifically
services is
brought within the
proposed to be
ambit
specifically
of
brought
payment
within
to
the ambit
contractors for the
of payment
purpose
to
of
contractors
TDS
for the purpose of TDS
ambiguity.
to avoid
Thus,
ambiguity.
TDS on these services
Thus,
will be at the
TDS
rate
on
of
these
either
services will be at the
1%
rate of
or
either
2%
1% or 2%
I
only.
propose a scheme for small
I propose a scheme for small
wherein a
taxpayers
rule-based automated
wherein a
process
rule-based
will
automated
enable
process
obtaining a
will
lower
enable
or nil
obtaining a
deduction
lower
certificate
or nil
instead
deduction
of
certificate
filing an application
instead of
with the
filing an
assessing
application
officer.
with the
For the
assessing
ease of
officer.
taxpayer
For the ease of
holding
taxpayer
securities in
holding
multiple
securities
companies
in multiple companies. I propose to enable depositories to accept Form 15G or Form 15H from the investor and provide it directly to various relevant companies.
I propose to extend time
available for revising returns from 31st December to up to 31st March with the payment of a nominal fee. I also propose to stagger the timeline for filing of tax returns. Individuals with ITR 1 and ITR 2 returns will continue to file till 31st July, and non-audit business cases are proposed to be allowed time till 31st August. TDS on sale of immovable property by a non-resident is proposed to be deducted and deposited through resident buyers and his or her PAN-based challan instead of requiring a TAN, which is a temporary accounting number.
To address practical issues of small taxpayers like students,
young professionals, relocated NRIs, and such others. I propose to introduce a one-time 6-month foreign asset disclosure scheme for these taxpayers to disclose income or assets below a certain size. This scheme would be applicable for two categories of taxpayers, namely
who did not disclose their overseas
income or assets,
who disclosed their
overseas income,
paid
due tax but could not declare the asset acquired. For category A, the limit of undisclosed income or asset is proposed to be up to 1 crore rupees. They need to pay 30% of fair market value of asset or 30% of undisclosed income as tax and 30% as additional income tax in lieu of penalty and would thereby get immunity from prosecution. For category B, asset value is proposed to be up to 5 crore rupees. Immunity from both penalty and prosecution will be available with a payment of fee of 1 lakh rupees.
Rationalizing penalty and prosecution.
Multiplicity of proceedings are hindrance to the ease of doing business. I propose to integrate assessment and penalty proceedings by way of a common order for both. There will be no interest liability on the taxpayer for the penalty amount for the period of appeal before the first appellate authority, irrespective of the outcome of appeal process. Further, quantum of prepayment is being reduced from 20% to 10% and will continue to be calculated only on core tax demand. As an additional measure for reducing litigation, I propose to allow taxpayers to update their returns, even after reassessment proceedings have been initiated, and an additional 10% tax rate over and above the rate applicable for the relevant year. The assessing officer will then use only this updated return in his proceedings. There is already a framework for immunity from penalty and prosecution in the cases of underreporting. I propose to apply this framework for immunity to misreporting. In such a case, the taxpayer will need to pay 100% of the tax amount as an additional income tax over and above the tax and interest due. Penalties for certain technical defaults, such as failure to get accounts audited, non-furnishing of transfer pricing audit report, and default in furnishing statements for financial transactions are proposed to be converted into fee. I propose to rationalize prosecution framework under Income Tax Act while maintaining a careful balance for deterrence in some serious offence. Non-production of account
and
books
documents
of account
requirement of
and
TDS
documents
payment
and requirement
where
of TDS
payment is
payment
made in kind
where payment is made in kind are being decriminalized.
Minor offences will
Further,
attract fine
minor
only.
offences will attract fine only.
The remaining prosecutions will be
The
graded
remaining prosecutions will be graded commensurate with the quantum of offense. They will entail only simple imprisonment, maximum imprisonment reduced to 2 years, and power to courts to convert even those into fines.
There is no penalty.
There is no penalty.
There's no penalty presently.
There's no penalty presently for non-disclosure of non-immovable foreign assets with aggregate value less than 20 lakh rupees. I propose to also provide them with immunity from prosecution with retrospective effect from 1/10/2024.
Cooperatives. Deduction is already allowed to a primary cooperative society
engaged in supplying milk, oil seeds, fruits or vegetables raised or grown by its members. I propose to extend this deduction to also include supply of cattle feed and cotton seed produced by its members.
I propose to allow
inter-cooperative society dividend income as deduction under the new tax regime to the extent it is further distributed to its members. I further propose to allow exemption for a period of 3 years to dividend income received by a notified national cooperative federation on their investments made in companies up to 31/1/2026. This exemption would be allowed only for dividends further distributed to its member cooperatives.
Supporting IT sector as India's
growth engine. India's global leader in software development services, IT-enabled services, knowledge process outsourcing services, and contract R&D services relating to software development. These businesses and their segments are quite interconnected with each other. All these services are proposed to be clubbed under a single category of information technology services with a common safe harbor margin of 15.5% applicable to all. The threshold for availing safe harbor for IT services is being enhanced substantially from 300 crore rupees to 2,000 crore rupees.
Safe harbor for IT services
shall be approved by an automated rule-driven process without any need for tax officer to examine and accept the application. Once applied by an IT services company, the same safe harbor can be continued for a period of 5 years at a stretch at its choice.
For IT services companies who
want to conclude advanced pricing agreement APA, I propose to fast-track unilateral APA process for IT services and endeavor to conclude it within a period of 2 years. The period of 2 years can be extended by a further period of 6 months on taxpayers' request. I propose to extend the facility of modified returns available to the entity entering APA to its associated entities also.
Attracting global business and investment.
Recognizing the need to enable critical infrastructure and boost investment in data centers. I propose to provide
Holiday till
tax
2047
till 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers
by using
data center services from India. It will, however, need to provide services to Indian customers through an Indian reseller entity.
I also propose to provide
a safe harbor of 15% on cost in case the company providing data center services from India is a related entity.
to harness the efficiency of
Just-in-time logistics for electronic manufacturing. I propose to provide safe harbor to non-residents for component warehousing in a bonded warehouse at a profit margin of 2% of the invoice value.
The resultant tax of about
0.7% will be much slower than in competing jurisdictions. To provide manufacturing in India. Toll manufacturing in India. I propose to provide exemption from income tax for 5 years to any non-resident who provides capital goods, equipment or tooling to any toll manufacturer in a bonded zone. To encourage vast pool of global talent to work in India for a longer period of time, I propose to provide exemption to global non-India sourced income of a non-resident expert for a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes.
I propose to provide exemption from minimum
alternate
to
tax,
all non-residents
to all non-residents who pay tax on presumptive basis.
Tax administration.
Tax administration. I propose to constitute a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes for incorporating the requirements of income computation and disclosure standards in the ICDS standards, in the Indian Accounting Standards, Ind AS
Separate accounting requirements
based on ICDS will be done away with from the tax year 27-28. To support Prime Minister Modi's vision of homegrown accounting and advisory firms to become global leaders, I propose to rationalize the definition of accountant for the purposes of safe harbor rules.
Other tax proposals.
Change in taxation of buyback was brought in to address the improper use of buyback route
in the interest of minority shareholders.
In the interest of minority shareholders, I propose to tax buybacks for all types of shareholders as capital gains.
To
disincentivize misuse of tax arbitrage, promoters will pay an additional buyback tax. This will make effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. For non-corporate promoters, the effective tax will be 30%. For sellers of specific goods, namely alcoholic liquor, scrap, TCS rate for sellers of specific goods, namely
minerals,
alcoholic and exercise of options, and are both proposed to be raised to 0.15% to 2% from the present rate of 0.1% and 0.125% respectively. We reformed the taxation landscape for corporates in 2019 by providing them a simplified regime with lower tax rates so that they could productively focus on business rather than on claim of deductions and exemptions. To encourage companies to shift to the new regime, set off respectively of brought forward the taxation landscape minimum alternate tax credit is proposed to be allowed to companies only in the new regime. Set off using available MAT credit is proposed to be allowed to an extent of 1/4 of the tax liability in the new regime. Set off MAT is proposed to be made final tax. Minimum alternate tax so there will be no further credit accumulation from 1st April 2026. In line with this change, the rate of final tax is being reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate of 15%.
MAT
The
is
brought
proposed
forward
to be
MAT credit
made
of taxpayers
final tax.
accumulated till
So there
30th
will be
March
no further
2026
credit
will
accumulation
continue to be
from
available
1st
to them
April
for set-off
2026.
as above.
In line
Indirect
with this change,
taxes.
the rate of
I shall now
final
take up
tax
proposals related
is
to indirect
being
taxes.
reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate of 15%. The brought forward MAT credit of taxpayers accumulated till
Proposals for
30th
customs
March
and central excise
2026
aim
will
to
continue
further
be
simplify
available
the
to them
tariff
for
structure,
set-off as
support
above.
domestic manufacturing,
Indirect
promote
taxes.
export
I
competitiveness,
shall now take
and
up
correct
proposals
inversion
related to
in
indirect
duty.
taxes. My proposals for customs
To
and central
continue
excise
weeding out
aim
long continuing
to further
customs
simplify the
duty
tariff
exemptions,
structure,
I
support
propose
domestic
to remove
manufacturing,
certain
promote
exemptions on
export
items
competitiveness,
which
and
are
correct
being
inversion
manufactured in
duty.
India or where the imports
To continue
are
weeding out
negligible.
long continuing
Similarly, to
customs
further
duty
simplify the
exemptions,
process of ascertaining
propose
the
to
rate
remove
of duty
certain
applicable on a
exemptions on
particular
items
item, I
which are
propose to
being
incorporate
manufactured in
certain
India
effective
or
rates
where
in
the
various
imports
customs
are
notifications to the tariff
Similarly,
schedule
to further
itself.
simplify the process
I
of
shall now take
ascertaining
up
the rate of
sector-specific
duty
proposals.
applicable on a particular item,
Promotion
I
of
propose to
exports of
incorporate
marine,
certain
leather,
effective
and
rates
textile
in various
products.
customs
I propose to
notifications
increase
to
the
the tariff
limit for
schedule
duty-free
itself.
imports
I shall now
of
take up
specified inputs
sector-specific
used for
proposals.
processing seafoods
Promotion
for
of exports of marine,
from the current
leather,
1%
and textile
to
products.
3% of
I
FOB
propose to
value
increase the
of the
limit for
previous year's
duty-free
export turnover.
of specified inputs.
I also propose
used
to
for
allow
processing
duty-free
seafoods
imports
for
of
export
specified
from the
inputs,
current
which is
1%
currently available
to
for
3%
exports of
of
leather
FOB value
or
of
synthetic
the previous
footwear
year's
to exports
export
of
turnover.
shoe uppers as well.
I also propose to allow duty-free imports
I propose to extend
of
the
specified
time period
inputs,
for export
which
of
is currently
final
available
product
for exports
from the
of
existing
leather
6
or
months to 1
synthetic
year
footwear
for
to
exporters
exports
of leather
shoe uppers
or
as
textile
well.
garments, leather or synthetic
I
footwear
propose to extend
and
the
other
time
leather
period for
products.
export of final
Energy
product
transition
from
and
the
security.
existing 6
I
months to
propose
1
to
year
extend the basic
for
customs duty
exporters of
exemption
leather
given to capital
or
goods
textile
used for
garments,
manufacturing
leather or
lithium-ion
synthetic
cells for
footwear
batteries
and
to
other
those used
leather
for
products.
manufacturing
Energy
lithium-ion cells
transition
for
and
battery
security.
energy
I propose
storage
to extend the
systems
basic
also.
customs duty exemption
I propose to
given
exempt
capital
basic
goods
customs
used for
duty
manufacturing
on
lithium-ion
import
cells
of
for batteries
sodium
to those used
antimonate
for
for
manufacturing
use in manufacture of
lithium-ion
solar
cells for
glass.
battery energy storage systems also.
Nuclear power.
I propose
to extend the existing basic customs
on
duty
import of
exemption
sodium
on imports of
antimonate
goods required
for use
for
in
nuclear
manufacture
power
of solar
projects
glass.
till the year 2035 and expanded
Nuclear
for
power.
all nuclear
I
plants
propose to extend the
irrespective of
existing
their
basic
capacity.
customs duty exemption on
Critical
imports of
minerals.
goods required
It is
for nuclear
proposed
power
to
projects
provide
till
basic
the year
customs duty
2035
exemption
and
to the import of
expanded
capital
for
goods
all nuclear
required for the
plants
processing of
irrespective
critical
of their
minerals
capacity.
in India. Biogas
Critical
blended
minerals.
CNG.
It is
I propose to exclude
provide
the
basic
entire
customs
value
duty
of biogas
exemption to the
while
import of
calculating the
capital
central
goods
excise
required
duty
for the
payable
processing of
on
critical minerals
biogas
in
blended
India.
CNG.
Biogas blended
CNG. Civil
I
and defense
propose to
aviation.
exclude the
I propose to
entire
exempt
value of
basic
biogas
customs duty
while
on components
calculating
and
the
parts
central excise duty
required for the
payable
manufacture
on
of civilian
biogas
training
blended
and
CNG.
other aircrafts. It is proposed to
Civil and
exempt
defense
basic
I
customs
propose to
duty
exempt basic
on raw
customs
materials
duty on components
imported
and
for the
parts
manufacture of
required
parts
for the
of
manufacture of
aircraft
civilian
to be
training
used
and
in
other
maintenance,
aircrafts.
repair,
All
it is
overall
proposed
requirements
to by
exempt
units in the
basic
defense sector.
basic customs duty on raw
Electronics.
materials imported
To
for the
deepen
manufacture
value
of
addition
parts
in the consumer
of
electronics
aircraft
sector
to be
I
used
propose
in
to exempt
maintenance,
basic customs
repair,
duty
all
on specified
overall
parts
requirements
used in
by
the
units in
manufacture
the
of
defense
microwave
sector.
ovens. Special
Electronics.
economic zone.
To deepen
To
value
address the
addition in the
concerns
consumer electronics
arising
sector,
about
I propose
utilization
to
of
exempt basic
capacity
customs duty
by
on
manufacturing
specified
units
parts
in the special
used in
economic
the
zones
manufacture of
due to
microwave
global trade
ovens.
disruptions. I
Special
propose
economic
as a
zone
special one-time
to
measure
address the concerns
to facilitate
arising
sales
about
by eligible
utilization of
manufacturing
capacity
units
by
in
manufacturing
SEZs
units in the
to the
special
domestic
economic zones
tariff area
due to global
at
trade
concessional
disruptions,
rates
I propose
of duty.
as a special one-time measure
The
to
quantity of
facilitate
such
sales
sales will
by
be limited to a
eligible
prescribed
manufacturing units
proportion
in
of their
SEZs
exports.
to the domestic
Necessary
tariff area
regulatory
at
changes
concessional
will be
rates
undertaken
of duty.
to operationalize the measures
The
while
quantity of
ensuring
such sales
level
will be
playing
limited to a
field
prescribed
for the units
proportion
working in the
of their
DTA.
exports.
Ease of
Necessary
living.
regulatory
To rationalize the
regulatory
customs duty
changes
structure
will
for
be
goods
undertaken
imported for
to
personal
operationalize
use.
the measures
I
while
propose to
ensuring
reduce the tariff
level
rate
playing
on
field
all
for the units
dutiable
working in
goods
the DTA.
imported for personal use
Ease of living.
from
To
20%
rationalize
to
the customs
10%.
duty structure for goods imported for personal use.
To provide
propose
relief to
to reduce
patients,
the tariff rate
particularly
on all
those
dutiable
suffering
goods
from cancer,
imported for
I
personal
propose to
use
exempt
from
basic
20%
customs duty
to
on
10%.
17 drugs or medicines.
To provide relief to patients,
I
particularly
propose
those
also to add
suffering from
7
cancer,
more rare
I propose
diseases
to exempt
for the
basic
purposes
customs
of
duty
exempting
on
import
17
duties on
drugs
personal
or
imports
medicines.
of drugs, medicines, and food for special medical
I
purposes
propose
used
also
in their
to add
treatment.
7 more rare
Customs
diseases
process.
for the
India's
purposes
role
of exempting
and
import
share in
duties
the global trade
on
is poised
personal
for a
imports of
major
drugs,
leap. In
medicines,
line with our
and food
ambition
for special
and
medical
journey towards
purposes
Viksit
used
Bharat.
in their
In
treatment.
this regard, I propose
Customs
many measures
process.
for custom
India's
processes to
role
have
and
minimal
share in the
intervention
global trade
for
is poised
smoother
for
and
a
faster
major
movement
leap.
of goods
In line
and
with
greater
our
certainty
ambition
to the trade.
and journey towards
Trust-based
Viksit Bharat.
systems.
In this
I propose
regard,
to enhance
I propose
duty
many
different
measures
period
for
for
custom
Tier 2 and
processes
Tier
to
3
have
authorized
minimal
economic
intervention
operators,
for smoother
known
and
as
faster movement
AEOs,
of goods
from
and
15
greater
days
certainty
to
to the
30
trade.
days. I propose
Trust-based
to provide
systems.
eligible
I propose to
manufacturer
enhance duty
importers
deferral period
the same
for
duty
Tier 2
deferral
and Tier 3
facility.
authorized
This should
economic
encourage
operators,
them to get
known as
themselves
AEOs,
accredited
from
as a
15 days
full-fledged
to 30
Tier
days.
3
I
AEO in
propose
due
to provide
course.
eligible manufacturer importers
To provide
the
greater
same duty
certainty
deferral
and for
facility.
better business
This
planning,
should encourage
I propose to
them
extend
get
validity period
themselves
of
accredited
advance ruling
as a full-fledged
binding on
Tier
customs
3
from the
AEO
present 3
in due
years
course.
to 5 years. In the spirit of the whole of
provide
government
greater
approach,
certainty and for better business planning, I propose to extend validity period of advance ruling.
government
binding on
agencies will be
customs
encouraged to
from the
leverage
present 3 years
AEO
to 5
accreditation,
years. In the
accreditation
spirit of the whole of
for
government
preferential
approach,
treatment in clearing their cargo. Regular importers with trusted, long-standing
Government
supply
agencies
chains
will be
will be
encouraged to
recognized in
leverage
the risk system
AEO
so that
accreditation,
the need for verification of their
accreditation
cargo
for
every
preferential
time can be
treatment in
minimized.
clearing their cargo.
Export cargo
regular
using
importers with
electronic
trusted,
sealing.
long-standing supply chains will be recognized in the
Export
risk
cargo
system.
using
so that
electronic
the need for
sealing
verification of
will
their
be
cargo
provided through
every
clearance
time
from the
can be
factory
minimized.
premises to the
Export
ship
cargo using
for import of
sealing.
goods not needing any compliance. Filing of bill of
Export
entry
cargo
by a trusted
using
importer
electronic
and
sealing
arrival of
will
goods
be
will
provided through
automatically
clearance from the
notify
factory
customs
premises
for
to the
completing their
ship.
clearance formalities.
For import
This will
of
enable
goods
goods to be released
not needing
immediately
any
on arrival.
compliance.
The
Filing of
customs
bill of
warehouse
entry by a
framework
trusted
will be
importer
transformed
and
into a
arrival of
warehouse
goods will
operator-centric
automatically
system
notify
with a
customs for
self-declarations,
completing their clearance
electronic tracking,
formalities.
and
This will
risk-based
enable
audit.
goods to be released
These
immediately
reforms will
on
move
arrival.
away from the current
customs
system
warehouse framework
of
will be
officer-dependent
transformed into a
approvals
warehouse
and reduce
operator-centric
transaction
system
delays
with a
and
self-declarations,
compliance costs.
electronic tracking, and risk-based audit.
These of doing
reforms
business
will move away from the
approvals
current system
required for cargo clearance
officer-dependent
from various
approvals
government
and
agencies
reduce
will be
transaction
seamlessly
delays
processed
and
through a
compliance
single
costs.
and interconnected digital window by the end of the financial
Ease
year.
of doing business.
Processes involved in
required for
clearance
cargo
of food,
clearance
drugs,
from various
plant
government agencies
and animal
will be
and wildlife
seamlessly
products
processed through a
accounting for
single
about
and interconnected
70% of
digital window by
interdicted
the end
cargo
of the financial
will
year.
be operationalized on this
Processes
system by
involved in
April
clearance of
2026
food,
itself.
drugs, plant
For goods not
and
having
animal
any
and wildlife
compliance
products
requirement,
accounting for
clearance will
about
be done
70% of
by customs
interdicted
immediately
cargo
after
will
online
be
registration is
operationalized
completed
on this
by the
system
importer,
by April
subject to the payment of duty.
2026 itself. For goods not having
Customs
any
integrated
compliance
system will be rolled out in 2 years
will be done
as a single
by customs
integrated and
immediately
scalable
after
platform
online
for
registration is
all
completed
customs
by the
processes.
importer, subject to the payment of duty.
Utilization of non-intrusive scanning
Customs
with
integrated
advanced
system will be
imaging
rolled out
and
in 2
AI
years
technology
as a single
for risk
integrated
assessment
and
will be
scalable
expanded in a
platform
phased
for
manner
all
with the
customs
objective
processes.
to scan every
Utilization
container
of
across all
non-intrusive
the major
scanning with
ports.
advanced imaging and AI technology
New export
for risk
opportunities
assessment
to
will be
support Indian
expanded in a
fishermen
phased
to
manner
fully
with
harness the
objective
economic value
to scan
of marine
every
resources
container
beyond our
across
territorial
all
waters.
the major
The following
ports.
measures will be taken. A.
New
Fish
export
catch by an
opportunities
Indian
to
fishing
support
vessel
Indian fishermen
in exclusive
to fully
economic
harness
zone
the economic
or
value
on the high
of marine
seas will
resources
be made
beyond our
free of
territorial
duty.
waters.
The following measures will be taken. Landing of such fish
catch by an
on
Indian
foreign
fishing
port
vessel
will
in
be treated as
exclusive
export
economic
of
zone
goods or on the high
Safeguards
seas
will be put in place
made
to prevent
free of
misuse
duty during fish catch, transit or transshipment.
Landing of
To
such
support
fish
aspirations
on
of India's
foreign
small
port
businesses,
will be treated
artisans
as
and
export of
startups
goods.
to access global markets
Safeguards will
through
be put in place
e-commerce,
to prevent
I am
misuse
pleased to announce
during fish catch,
complete
transit
removal of the
or
current value
transshipment.
cap of 10 lakh
To
rupees
support
per
aspirations
consignment
of
on
India's small
courier
businesses,
exports.
artisans and startups
In addition,
to access global markets
handling
through e-commerce.
of rejected
I am
and
pleased to
returned
announce
consignments will be
complete
improved
removal of the
with
current
effective
value
use
cap
of technology
of 10 lakh
for
rupees
identifying
per
such
consignment on
consignments.
courier exports.
I propose to revise provisions
In addition,
governing baggage clearance
handling of
during
rejected
international
and
travel
returned
to address
consignments will be
genuine
improved
concerns of
with effective
passengers.
use of technology
The revised
for
rules will
identifying
enhance
such
duty-free allowances
I
in
propose
line
to
with the
revise
present-day
provisions
travel realities
governing
and
baggage
provide
clearance
clarity
during
in
international
temporary
travel
carriage of
to
goods
address
brought in
genuine
or
concerns
taken out.
of passengers.
There are
The revised
honest
rules will
taxpayers
enhance
who are willing to settle
duty-free
disputes
allowances
by paying
in
all their
line with the
dues.
present-day travel
But they get
realities
deterred due
and
to
provide
negative
clarity
connotation
in temporary carriage
associated
of
with
goods
penalty.
brought in or taken out.
They will
There
now
are
be able
honest
to close
taxpayers
cases
who are
by
willing to
paying
settle
an
disputes
additional
by
amount
paying all
in
their
lieu of
dues.
penalty.
But they get
Honourable
deterred due
Speaker,
to
sir,
negative connotation
with this, I
associated
commend
with
the budget
penalty.
to this August
I
House.
They will now be able to close cases by paying an additional amount
In lieu of penalty. Honourable Speaker, sir, 1.5 hours. With this, I commend the budget to this August
आइटम
House.
नंबर 3 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Item number 2, sir.
1.5 hours.
3. Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the table the following statements under Section 3, 1 of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act of 2003. Medium-term fiscal policy, fiscal policy strategy
Sir, with your
statement,
permission, I rise
and
to lay on the
macroeconomic
table of the
framework statement.
table the following
आइटम
statements
नंबर
under
4
Section 3,
माननीय वित्त मंत्री
1
जी।
of the
Sir,
Fiscal
with your permission,
Responsibility and Budget
I move
Management Act of
for leave
2003.
to introduce the Finance
Medium-term
Bill
fiscal policy, fiscal
2026.
policy strategy
प्रश्न
statement
ये कि विधेयक
and
को
macroeconomic
प्रस्तावित
framework
करने की अनुमति
statement.
प्रदान की जाए। आइटम नंबर 4 जो सदस्य इस पक्ष में आ गए,
Sir, with your permission,
जो
I
सदस्य विरोध
move
में
for
ना
leave to
गए,
introduce the Finance
मेरे
Bill
विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के
2026.
पक्ष में हाँ वालों के पक्ष में अनुमति प्रदान की जाती है। माननीय मंत्री जी अब विधेयक पूरे स्थापित करें।
Sir, I
जो
introduce
सदस्य
the
इस
bill.
पक्ष में हाँ गए, माननीय सदस्य आपको सूचित किया जाता है मेरे विचार कि माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी के बजट भाषण की कॉपी पब्लिकेशन काउंटर पर ली जाती है। बजट भाषण और
Sir,
बजट से
I
संबंधित
introduce the bill.
दस्तावेज आपके मोबाइल फोन और मेंबर पोर्टल पर ही उपलब्ध है। सभा की कार्रवाई कल सोमवार दिनांक 2 फरवरी 2026 को प्रातः 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है। आपके मोबाइल फोन और मेंबर पोर्टल्स पर ही उपलब्ध है। सभा की कार्रवाई